Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am filming with Joy today because we are going to talk about Joy's birth story. What do you think? We're going to talk about Joy's birth story today, which I felt was appropriate because I am currently, while I'm filming this, I'm 38 weeks pregnant with our little boy. Thank you. But when this video posts, because I usually post videos on Mondays, I will be 39 weeks pregnant, and I don't know, maybe I'll have had this little guy by then. We shall see. But I thought I would film this intro with Joy, who's being super snuggly right now. You are so sweet. I love you. Because we're going to talk about her birth story, and I'm super excited to share that all with you. If you haven't already, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos. But we are going to get started on today's video. Do you want to say hi? You just want to give me hugs? Mwah. I love you. Do you want to say hi? Say hi, everybody. Can you say hi, everybody? Oh, okay. Let's get started. So to start off Joy's birth story, I am going to go back to the last appointment that I had with my OB before I went into labor. So at that point, I was 38 weeks pregnant with Joy. I went into my last appointment on a Tuesday. And at that point, my OB said I was already 2 centimeters dilated. My cervix had really started to thin. And she said, I'll be very surprised if you make it to your next OB appointment, which would have been the following Tuesday. And I didn't. I had also tested positive for something called Group B strep, which is something that anybody can get when they're pregnant. And basically all it means is you have this bacteria present in your body that can be passed on to your baby. So when you go into labor and your water breaks, you need to get an IV with antibiotics so that the Group B strep doesn't get passed to your baby. It's super common. I had it with Joy, and this time when I got tested, I don't have it. It's super random and weird, and sometimes you can have it and sometimes you don't. So we knew that when I went into labor, if my water broke at home, that we would need to get to the hospital quickly so that I could get those antibiotics in me. So that was a Tuesday. The following day, the Wednesday and Thursday, my mucus plug came out, which is basically, if you don't know what that is, it's almost exactly like what it sounds. This plug of mucus, which is kind of gross, is inside your cervix, and when you start to dilate, it comes out. But it's basically this like protective barrier so that nothing can get inside of you that would hurt your baby. But when you're starting to dilate and it's almost time to go into labor, it comes out. So over the next 2 days, that came out. And then on the Friday night, I was actually having contractions, and I didn't know I was having them because for me, it was just this very dull back pain, like lower back pain. And I was just thinking, oh, my body has been hurting for the past, couple of months because I'm pregnant and getting bigger, it's harder to sleep. So I didn't really think anything of it. And it happened like just before I went to bed that night. And it kind of was something that like came and went a couple of times. And in my head at that time, I was thinking like, am I having contractions? But I was thinking no, because in my mind, I thought contractions would be like stomach cramps, tightening in your belly. That's what I had assumed. I had never had a child before, so that's what I assumed labor was going to be like. But the back pain came and went a few times, and then it went away. And I went to bed that night totally fine. The next day was Saturday, and at 1 o'clock that afternoon, I started to get that back pain again, but this time it was much stronger, and it was definitely coming and going in waves. Thankfully, it was a weekend, so John wasn't at work. He was home with me already. I was saying, I'm having these back pains. They seem like they're coming and going. So he said, okay, let's time them. So we started to time them, but they were really close together, which in my mind, I was just like, I can't be in labor because this isn't what labor is supposed to be like. I'm not having stomach pains, and the contractions are supposed to start off slow and then get closer and closer together, but they were just like really close together, and some of them would only last for maybe like 20 seconds and some would last for like over a minute. So it was super random and sporadic, and I think I was kind of in denial, and I was thinking, no, this can't be labor. This is weird. But we called our moms anyways, because both my mom and John's sister were going to be coming, so that they could help us out after baby was born, and that they could come to the hospital, all that stuff. So we let them know, and they just said, okay, we're going to come because I think that you are in labor. And they were 3 hours away. So they started on their way. We called family friends of ours. We had a dog at the time, just a little cockapoo. His name was Argo. We called them. We had set up that they were going to take care of him when I did go into labor. So we had all his stuff at the door, his cage and food and whatnot. They came, picked him up, took him to their house. Then once they took him, it was just John and I ended up grabbing a heat pack and plugging it in and sitting in a chair, and I put it on my back. And I just said, like, I need a distraction. So we ended up just putting on a TV show, and I sat in a reclining chair with heat pack on my back, which actually I found kind of helped with the back contractions that I was having. We stayed at our home for a couple of hours, and then we were thinking, like, should we be going to the hospital? These contractions seem super close together. My water hadn't broken, but the hospital was a half an hour drive from our house. So we thought maybe we should go in. So we ended up calling them. They said, yeah, you can come, we'll check, we'll see where things are at. So we said, okay. We hopped in the car, drove to the hospital. When we got there, they checked me, and I was 3 centimeters, and they were actually short-staffed at the time. So they were thinking about actually sending us to another hospital, which was like another 15-20 minute drive away. At this point, I was having really, really close together, really intense back contractions, and kind of freaking out a bit and thinking, like, I can't get back in the car and drive to a different hospital. Like, my OB is at this hospital. And the nurses basically said, like, things, either your labor either needs to like slow down and stop so we can just send you home, or it needs to like really speed up and pick up so that we can keep you here. At that point, I think John told me anyways, I don't remember this. John told me that he started praying that my labor would speed up, and it totally did. Things got even more intense. The nurses drew me a bath, which was really nice. So I hung out in the tub for a little bit to see if that would help. We had our own private room, which was really nice. It had its own bathroom. It was great. So I stayed in there for a little bit. The moms ended up arriving, and John's sister and her little guy, who was just over a year at that point. So they were all there. They were kind of in and out of the room while I was laboring. We were fine with them being there. We just asked that once it was time for me to push, that it would just be me and John, which it was. They had to hook me up to an IV because I needed those antibiotics because I had tested positive for the Group B strep. But I have really tiny veins, so I think they ended up poking me like 5 times, and every time they did, they blew out one of my veins, which wasn't fun, until they finally got the IV in, hooked me up to the antibiotics. So I had to stay just in the bed for a while because I couldn't really go anywhere when I was hooked up to that. They ended up breaking my water for me It never broke on its own. But every time they would check me about like every hour or so after we arrived, and I was just dilating more and more and more and more, and things were really happening quickly. They tried some different pain management things for me. They gave me laughing gas first, I think, which I didn't like. It made me feel like the room was spinning. For some people in labor, they like it. It works really well for them. I did not like it. They tried a couple of other things, which I can't fully remember. It's kind of funny how I remember everything, but also everything seems like one big blur at the same time. So I'm just telling you guys the story of how I remember things happening. If my husband was here, he would probably remember things differently, because I did have pain medication in my system, and I think I was a little bit loopy. But anyways, eventually I said, I can't take this anymore. I need the epidural. And actually my OB's husband was the epidural administrator, the one that administers the epidural. That's what I'm trying to say. So they had to call him, and he came in. When they give you the epidural, they have to like tell you that all of the risks and everything that could happen. And you have to sign a waiver that you're not gonna like sue the hospital or whatever if something happens. But I did not care at that point. I think at that point he was explaining to me the epidural, and I was actually in the bathroom sitting on the toilet having contractions and just not caring. I just wanted that epidural. So got it. I don't even remember it hurting at all. And I don't know if that's just because I was in so much pain from contractions or what. I mean, they do freeze the area first, I think, but I don't remember feeling any pain at all when they actually gave me the epidural. And then it took, I think, like 15 or 20 minutes for it to actually kick in. But I didn't know that it took like a certain amount of time, and in my head I was just thinking, it's not working, because for some people when they get an epidural it doesn't work, and they try and give them like more of a larger dose of the epidural and it still doesn't work, and then they feel everything. And I was kind of having a little bit of a freak out, thinking, I'm one of those people, it's not gonna work for me, what am I gonna do? I can't do this without this epidural. But it finally did kick in, and after that things were good. I wasn't in pain. I was just kind of hanging out waiting to push, because I had just gone from excruciating back pain to nothing, and it was awesome. So they kept checking me again, and eventually I got to 10 centimeters and it was time to push. So I had to actually push for about an hour before Joy was born, because she was, they call it sunny side up, but basically her head was down, which is the right position that she needs to be in. But instead of her face being down, her face was up, hence the term sunny side up, which makes it harder for them to come out, I guess. So I had to push for about an hour, and as I was pushing, they were trying to kind of turn her body so that she would come out the right way. Normally when you are pushing out a baby, their head kind of comes out first, and then they'll deliver the rest of the body. But with Joy, she just all at once just came out, like no warning. I have been pushing for so long, so I don't even know if the OB really knew that she was gonna come out that fast, because John said she kind of like put her arm up to like block Joy from falling off of the table, because she literally shot out like so quickly. And then that was it, and she was born. And then same with after you give birth, you also have to give birth to your placenta, because that can't stay inside of you. So again, the same thing kind of happened, just all came out really quickly all at once. So that was, I guess, an easier part of labor. And then I did tear a little bit, so they had to give me some stitches, which I didn't feel because of the epidural, which was great. And yeah, then Joy was born. When she was born, both Joy and myself had really low temperatures. So they were kind of monitoring her for a little bit. She was also very jaundiced when she was born, which is actually kind of common with babies. When they're born, they can be jaundiced, but I guess she was a little more jaundiced than normal, so they wanted to keep an eye on that. And I guess one of the ways that you can get rid of all of the jaundice is by nursing, because I guess they kind of, as they nurse, they pee it out. I didn't know that, but yeah, I guess that's one of the ways that they can get rid of their jaundice. But she was having a really hard time latching. So, and we think it's because she was tongue-tied. They actually ended up like snipping her tongue, which was really sad. But obviously she doesn't remember it. It was the first few hours of life, or of her life, because after they did that, she latched, and she wasn't latching for like a very long time. So that was kind of encouraging that she actually latched. But then again, after that time, the next time I tried, and she wasn't latching again. And I could make another video on the struggles of nursing and how it is not an easy thing for both you and baby. You're both learning something new. But anyways, we ended up staying at the hospital for, I think it was about 5 days. We got there on the Saturday. That's when I went into labor. Joy was born on the Sunday at 3:18 in the morning. And we didn't leave until the Wednesday. Also at that point, I think we were the only ones in the birthing unit. So they didn't really have anybody else that they needed to like tend to. So they just said that we could stay. And you also have to do a follow-up appointment. I think it's 48 hours after you leave the hospital. You have to go back to the hospital, and they just kind of make sure that you and baby are doing good. So we stayed at the hospital till Wednesday. We went home. Our moms and John's sister were there, so they were able to kind of help us out. And then we had to go back 2 days later just for that little checkup, which everything ended up being good. I'm trying to think if there is any other details that I didn't mention. Oh, I guess I could mention that she was 7 pounds 13 ounces and 21 inches when she was born. She was a tall baby, and she had really long fingers, and she had tons of hair. She had super dark, like almost black hair, and because she was so jaundiced, it made her skin almost like this olivey tone. And she was really swollen for because I had to push for so long. So she looked completely different when she was first born. It was a pretty smooth birth. I think I was in labor for a total of 14 hours, which isn't too bad. I'll probably film another birth story video once we know what this little guy's birth story is, and see how similar or different it is to Joy's birth story. I would film this for you guys today because it has been on my mind, obviously, with this new little one coming so soon. But I wanted to be able to tell Joy's story first. Well, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed getting to hear Joy's birth story. If you haven't already, give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks, babes. I love you. I don't know if I will have a new video posted for next Monday. because I might be in labor or I could have a newborn by then. So if that is the case, then we may not see you guys for a little while. I'll be taking a break from YouTube. She's gone. I'll be taking a break from YouTube, obviously, just to kind of readjust and figure out life with a newborn and a toddler. If I have not given birth yet, then we will see you guys next week. Do you want to say bye? You say bye, everybody. Oh, nice waving. Say bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Can you say bye?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you guys later. Bye.